Hello, you lovely, lovely people. I want to talk about something today that I saw a video actually, and I've been following him for a little while. And it's about this guy, and he's become unstuck here in the Philippines. I mean, unstuck, no money, passport expired, and overstay. Now, it's very easy for us to say, well, it's his own fault. Probably is, but that's not really constructive. What I want to hit on today is how easy it is to actually do find yourself unstuck here. And many people, foreigners, expats, whatever you want to call us, we end up, crash and burn because we haven't thought it through. We haven't seen the pitfalls of being here. And my God, there is a lot of them. There is a lot of them here. Like I've said before, it's not all honey and milk here. And, let's be honest about it. I mean, I did. When I first ever came to the Philippines, I was one of these people who did, crash and burn. I got myself out of it and I picked myself up. I was lucky that I was able to do that. But many people, foreigners, I've noticed as well, there was a lot more homeless people here now, foreigners. I've seen on, YouTube, different vloggers, sort of interviewing, many foreigners who are doing this and doing that just to make ends meet. But in reality, we aren't allowed to do that unless we are on a retirement visa or a 13A. We are not allowed to work. So, an example, the guy I've been following, he's got no money at all, nothing. He's got no money to sort his visa out, his overstay, and he's got no money to actually renew his passport. So, he's in shit street, basically. What you got to think here, guys, you need an income of something. I mean, I'm just going to say this just through what I see here. Many foreigners who come here, they think that it's easy here to get by with what savings they maybe have. Now, it's not. Obviously, it depends on how much savings you actually have. If you've got a lot of savings, then maybe it's not too bad. But if you're only here with a budget of so much and that's got to last you, and you think, when I get there, I will do this, I will do that to earn an income. It's not as easy, guys, as what it sounds. It's not like in our country, because we are natives to our own countries. We can do this, we can do that, we can survive. Like many Filipinos or Filipinos here, if they got no money, they can do this. They can go on a construction site, they can go and chop some wood and do charcoal or copra, something like that. We can't do that. So when we do run out of money, we are in trouble. We on the rapids in a little dinghy without a paddle, we are in trouble. So this is something that many of us have got to consider. And I think what happens to a lot of people when they come here, they come to meet a girl. They could be with the girl for a short space of time and they caught up in the moment. And, they buy this and buy that because they are on cloud nine. And all of a sudden, reality strikes. And that cloud nine is rapidly becoming into a nightmare. The money's gone, guys, and maybe the girl's gone. So then you're left thinking, well, what do I do? Well, there's only one thing you can do. I mean, if you've got no income, you've got to get back on a plane and get home before you actually spend the remainder of your money, and then you get yourself in worse trouble. Overstaying here is not a good thing, guys. You don't want to be put in one of those detention centres. You don't want anything to do with that. There was a friend of mine, well, not a friend of mine, but it was a guy that I knew. He was a British guy, and I spoke to him a few times, and he was overstaying, and I kept telling him to sort it out. And I lent him some money. This was a few years ago, when I had when I had more money, than what I have now. And I give him some money to actually sort his overstay out. Well, he didn't, did he? He went to Manila. He did go to Manila and he signed affidavit, blah, blah. And this was during the time of COVID. So he did an affidavit of why he'd overstayed, and they released him because he had the money on him, but they didn't know how much it was going to be. They didn't tot up how long he'd overstayed. So anyway, he spent the money. He come back and he had to phone them back up, I think in 6 weeks time, to see how much the fine was and blah blah, but he spent the money. Anyway, immigration caught him and they put him in a detention cell up in Manila somewhere. He stayed there for I think 4 months. The British Embassy was involved. He couldn't pay anything, but the British Embassy got the ticket and he made a promise that he would pay the overstay when he got back. Now, he was lucky to get away with that because many foreigners here, they will not release you until you pay your overstay. So you are in detention till you pay your overstay. And also what he did as well, he burnt his bridges with his family because he told his family what happened, and even his family sent him money for the overstay, and he spent that as well. So that was his own fault. He had the opportunities, but he just didn't take the opportunities and spent the money. But now he got deported, he got blacklisted, and he's got 3 kids here as well. I don't know how many of them are his, but I know one's definitely his, but I don't know about the other 2. So you don't want that to happen to you. Now, when being a foreigner here, I'm trying to move out of this light. So when you're a foreigner here and you run out of money and you are on a 13A and you haven't got a retirement visa, so Philippine law is you can't work. So there is no way of you earning money here. So you are in shit street. You really are in shit street. So people, what I'm saying is, you've got to think about what you're doing. You've got to think about your money. You've got to think about who you come to see. You've got to think about, is this girl you're legit? She might be, but she might not be. And of course, even if the warning signs are there, you won't see them because you're still on cloud 9. You meet in a family. The family's, they're welcoming you into the family. The girl is all over you because you're spending money, don't forget. You're building a house, or you and all them kind of things, scenarios. But once you run out of money, that's it. It's over. The dream is no longer a dream. The dream has now turned into a nightmare. And I think a lot of the women here, not all, but a lot of them, if you had no money, they are just simply going to go on to the next person who has got money to maybe finish off what you've started. To get into a situation like that, it's not only dangerous for you here, because no one wants to be in one of any detention cell around the world, but especially I believe in the Philippines, where there is so many people in the same space and they sleeping side by side. Couldn't think of anything worse. So you've really got to think about it. And when the money is getting a bit low, rather than keep spending it and think, I'll sort something out later, get yourself back. Recharge the batteries or recharge your bank account and then come back maybe, but don't overstay, because once you get in that situation of overstaying, every month it accumulates and you think, it's all right, I'll sort it out next month, I'll sort it out. The longer you leave it, you don't need me to tell you this, people, the longer you leave it, the worse it gets, the more fines you accumulate. And if you haven't got the money to get the visa in the first place, how are you going to get the money to pay for the fines, the overstay? Then you're going to get the plane ticket to get out of here. Don't get yourself in that position. As I said, I've been following this guy. He's a British guy and he seems like a nice bloke. I don't think thought it through. And now he's in a terrible situation where he doesn't know what he's going to do. But there's one thing for sure. Immigration will probably find you. Because all what it takes is for someone just to phone immigration up. There's a foreigner here, you know, he's overstaying. And I think, if you look on the immigration website, there is a reward for people who are reporting overstayers. So it probably wouldn't be a foreigner that's going to report somebody, it'll be a Filipino, because they think of that money that they get reporting an overstay. Don't get yourself in that situation, because this place is not a pleasant place to be when you've got no money. Like any country, like our own country, but at least if we haven't got no money in our own country, we aren't going to go to prison, you know, we aren't going to get deported, you know, we've got ways of making money. Here, you can't legally work without having the appropriate visa. And even working here with the appropriate visa, if you're working for a Philippine company, because you can on a 13A, you know, you can work anywhere with the 13A. You aren't going to earn a good salary working for a Filipino company, you know, because there are a million Filipinos who are willing to do it for that much money. Us being Western, we think that much money is no good. We want, you know, this much money. Well, the Philippine employer is not going to employ you. They're going to employ someone where they can get the work done cheaper. So you want to get that idea out your head. Business here, very difficult to have a successful business, or unless you've got a niche of something that no one else is doing. But that being said, once you do get that niche and you do it, and you're doing relatively well, other people see that, so then they will copy you. That's what happens here. That's what happens. Someone gets a good idea, they become successful, and then down the street 2 or 3 other people do the same thing. So then, you know, it takes it away from you. But please don't think you can come here and have a successful business. Perhaps you can, but don't bank on it, because you will probably be very disappointed. Or unless you're doing something that nobody else can do. You know, maybe the thing that you're doing, it takes, you know, you have to buy machinery or something. And then you probably could. But generally speaking, here, you think of something good, or you're in the middle of nowhere, you open up a little shop. Again, saris don't earn that much money. Not to live on anyway. I mean, as an additional income, could be good. But not as an additional income if you haven't got any income, you know. The additional income is something on top of what you've already got. To rely on something here, I wouldn't do it, because you probably will end up in trouble. So that's it, guys, really, you know, just think about it. Brilliant country. In many ways, of course, it's got its pitfalls here, you know. It's got many pitfalls here. But I think as long as you can accept those pitfalls, and, you know, you can manage to navigate yourself around them or through them, if you have to go through them, it's okay. But like I said, guys, it's not all milk and honey. Don't get yourself in trouble. You know, certainly don't come and meet a girl first time and buy land for the girl, because it's not for you, because you can't own the land. So everything that you're doing is not for you. You've got to put that in your mind as well. It's like me with this house here. It's not mine. Yes, I built the house, I financed the house, the land as well. But it's never mine. It's not mine. And people who think that it is when they build a house, you're sadly mistaken. You're sadly mistaken. Don't forget, guys, you're in a foreign country where the law protects Filipinos. It doesn't protect you. So if the shit hits the fan and you end up having an argument, or your wife, partner says, get out, I don't know what the law stands on that. But I know the law stands on you can't own the land. And that is in black and white. You cannot own the land, okay? You can lease you can get a lease on something, a 20-year lease maybe. And I think that's why many foreigners, they decide to rent, because for them I think it's security. Whereas if things do go wrong, they can just move away and go into another place. Whereas if you built a house, you're stuck with it, or you're stuck with the loss. You're stuck with the financial loss, unless the Filipino that you're with is reasonable and they sell the house and give you half the money. Have you ever heard of a story like that? I haven't. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but don't get yourself in trouble here, guys. Really, I feel sorry for the guy. I do, And as much as we can all say, well, it's your own fault, it might be, but that doesn't help. It doesn't help him. A lesson learned. I would hate to be in that predicament. I would. I can't think of a worse situation of being in the Philippines. You haven't paid your visa, your passport's expired, and you're overstay, and you've got no money. Can't get any worse. Well, it can. You can end up getting caught and getting put in a red detention centre and being in there for forever. How long it takes for you to get back to your own country. So just think about that, guys. It's food for thought. Food for thought. Don't get caught up in the moment. Don't let that heart rule the head. Think logically. That's what it's all about. Because there's no one going to help you here. If you run out of money here and you haven't got no family, you haven't got no friends, you haven't got no kids in your own country, you haven't got no way of getting money sent here, then you are in shit street. Good and proper. Something to think about, people. Anyway, that being said, beautiful country. I love it here. My two dogs are over there. If you like the video, I want to do what everyone else does. Please like, share, subscribe. And if you don't, then don't. Thank you, people. Have a great weekend. It's almost here. Take care, people. Bye-bye.